Hayward high up for a left-hand rebound, dribbles out of traffic with the right. With the sleeves on each leg, he chests it to Favors with his jersey untucked. Derek sets a pick for Hayward, who comes off with a right-hand dribble, breaks the paint to the cup. Jazz lead! First lead of the night at the 5:57 mark, third quarter.
It's Dan Favors. We are ready to tip off. Are you? Let's do this.
Wake up! Wake up! Or just have coffee with me in the morning for a little tip-off. Jazz defeat the Thunder. Quins tack. All the stories. We'll talk about it, plus the NBA 5. It's coming up. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum-bum. Pow. How are you? Welcome. Wake up! Oh, what a night. Every night has been fun. Every night's got a story. Every night's been enjoyable so far this season. Tickets are available Saturday against Anthony Davis in New Orleans. We'll talk about him in the NBA 5. Chicago on Monday. The Clippers on Saturday after Thanksgiving. And then a plethora of home games in early December. So I hope you can make yourself out to the arena. If you're not going to, wake up! We got great stuff going on around here. Wake up! Who's making the T-shirts? Who's making the T-shirt of Quinn's face with wake up underneath it? Jump on it now. Send me one. I'll wear it on tip-off. Maybe even buy it. All right. Hope you're great. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Grab your whatever it is. Have a cup of coffee, Diet Coke, load it up. If you're going to watch college basketball, you better load it twice. Boy, those games are terrible. And sit down. I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. If you're jogging to this, hopefully my ridiculous tempo will make you run faster. And whatever you might be doing, tuning in, mowing the lawn. Actually, you're not mowing the lawn. It's cold out. Lawns aren't getting mowed anymore. So thanks very much for tuning in to today's edition of Tip Off. As I said, I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. We give you the NBA 5 to start it off, and then we dig deep into the Utah Jazz, what's going on with the 5 and 7 Jazz. Wake up! Wake up! Okay, just kidding. That's enough. I'll stop with the wake-ups and get you going. Let's hit the NBA 5.
This is Alec Burks, and you're a Locked On Jazz.
Well, last night was the big matchup of New Orleans and Sacramento. We've gotten to that point where this league is so good right now, so enjoyable, so fun to watch, that New Orleans versus Sacramento is a marquee game. And it was pretty good. And it's a huge win for New Orleans. Because, guys, as crazy as this sounds, whenever New Orleans, Sacramento, Phoenix, or Oklahoma City play each other right now, it is a big-time mammoth game. And what I'm saying is, if you look and assume that the Clippers and the Spurs are going to right the ship, that they'll be fine. The Clippers do this for the Clippers still have 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA. There's really no way they're not righting the ship. Okay. And the Spurs are the Spurs. And then so that's 2. Then you look at the 5 mid-level teams of the Western Conference, and you say to yourself, well, which one was going to slip, right? That was our whole story. All the number one conversation all preseason. Which one's going to slip? Well, Memphis is 10-1. Houston's and 7-0 in the West. Houston's 9-2 and 5-2 in the West. The Warriors are 8-2, and anyone I talk to around the league says they're amazing right now, and 6-2 in the West. Portland's 8-3 and 5-3 in the West, and Dallas is 8-3. Okay, so the 5 teams that were going to slip have lost a combined 11 games and won 44 so far. They're not slipping. They're not slipping. Therefore, we got one playoff spot. We're sitting here on November 19th, and pending something tragic, injury, terrible, and even then I'm not sure. We're talking one playoff spot for 6-4 New Orleans, 6-5 Sacramento, 6-5 Phoenix, or 3-9 Oklahoma City Thunder. One playoff spot. One. And the Pelicans are flat out good. And the Sacramento Kings are actually maybe Flau. Sacramento is 6-5. Okay. All 11 games in the Western Conference. They will define their season when they go east if they beat up that terrible Eastern Conference. You realize there's only 2 teams in the entire Eastern Conference that are more than a game over 500? It's terrible. The discrepancy between the East and the West is bigger than it's ever been. There are 3 Western Conference teams that only wins have come in the East: LA, Minnesota, and Denver. There are Eastern Conference teams that haven't won a game in the West yet. Boston has not won a game yet in the West. The discrepancy is crazy right now. So when New Orleans and Sacramento match up, first of all, it's Anthony Davis against DeMarcus Cousins, and it's a major game because of the implications. And for New Orleans to go get a win on the road in Sacramento is a big deal. And I'm curious to keep an eye, and as I've said, I'm not buying DeMarcus Cousins being a winner. I'm buying DeMarcus Cousins being awesome. I'm not buying DeMarcus Cousins being a winner. Anthony Davis last night, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Anthony Davis is averaging, not what he did last night, is averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists a game through 10 games. Only Akeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Patrick Ewing have ever done that. Now, the Pelicans are awful to watch. I will go back and rewatch them today because we play them on Saturday. But they are like the last team playing some not the last team. But what's interesting to me about the Pelicans, watching them the other night, is, first of all, it's miserable because I have to watch Drew Holiday and Eric Gordon play, and there's nothing pretty, or Tyreek Evans, and there's nothing pretty about that. But what's really interesting to me is where the game has gone, because what they do is they come up and seemingly run only high pick and roll at the top of the key. And it looks archaic, considering how the league is playing, where the league is going, what everyone's doing, the bat-ball movement, the off-ball movement, the Spurs' infiltration of the league. That game looks archaic and looks awful. It's a great statement of where the league is going. But a big win for them last night. By the way, Jimmer's not playing. He's not getting time. He didn't get to go back to Sacramento and beat him up at all. I'm not sure I buy the whole Kings roster either, frankly. So I kind of think the Kings will fall out of this mix. But they're 6-5 against all Western Conference teams, and their wins have been against big. And DeMarcus Cousins is just that good. He's just that unguardably dominant. So there's a chance that they are that real. OKC, the vibe I got around them last night is their guys are coming back sooner than we realize. Or at least it's not going to be that long. Their season will be defined in the next month. Literally the next month. Because they play all but 2 of their games in the next month, 2 of the next 15 games, against teams that did not make the playoffs last year. So Oklahoma City has to get above water, and that team is not, we saw them last night, they're not capable of scoring, they're not capable of winning games with this roster. And I'm not sure, the thing you have to remember, and Ron brought this up, I thought was a great point last night, when we saw them in the preseason, we were pretty worried about whether they could actually stay above water with Westbrook. I remember I left saying, I don't think so. But their next games are at Denver. They got to win. I mean, you can't go to Utah and Denver and lose. They play Brooklyn, who's a playoff team, and then the Warriors are a playoff team. And then they play the Jazz, the Knicks, the Pelicans, the 76ers, the Pistons, the Bucks, Cavaliers, who I guess are a playoff team now, Minnesota, Phoenix, Sacramento between now and December 16th. So 2 of their next 3 games against playoff teams, and then they run a gauntlet of non-playoff teams before their schedule gets hard. And this is the other thing, is their schedule gets hard late in the year when they hopefully have their guys back, but their margin of error is going to be 0. The East, by the way, the minor leagues might actually be interesting too. Because if you take a second and say the 76ers aren't going to be good enough to make it, the Knicks are awful. They were down 20 in Milwaukee last night. The Celtics are probably not good enough to make it. The Pistons are not right, and the Pacers are just too injured. Okay, the Pacers get David West back, maybe a change. But if you suddenly whip those 5 teams out of the West, out of the East. Then there's 10 teams for 8 spots, and they're all average. It's going to get exciting, and the Bucks are 6-5, and suddenly, the Bucks are a playoff team, or at least have a real chance. And so does Orlando, which is exciting for those teams because they've been so bad. Orlando's 5-7, almost all their games against East, but they have 3 road wins already. Toronto, Washington, and Chicago. Toronto, Washington, Chicago are good. Cleveland should be good. And then it's a crapshoot. Atlanta just doesn't have it. Something wrong with Atlanta. They got beat by the Lakers last night. That's supposed to be a good team that I like and keep thinking is going to come together. Miami, you're asking a lot. They're going to muddle around 500, maybe a little above, not a lot. And then there's Milwaukee, who's 6-5. Orlando's 5-7. And Charlotte can't score. I'm not sure Charlotte makes the playoffs in the East. Anyway, it is just a sickly, awesome season, and that's what I was trying to get at.
Hi, this is Trevor Booker. I want to hear from you. Call 801-200-3738 and ask me a question. That is 801-200-3738 to ask me a question.
Poor Trevor Booker had a night last night where someone put orange juice in his cereal, as I said last night on the broadcast. He just couldn't buy one. He went 1 for 8 last night. Last night was cool because I keep a track of the numbers and, I share them with you, and then I also try to caution you every now and saying it's early. We were kind of getting to the point where some of them were like, and one of them that was Rudy Gobert's plus-minus. Plus 23 last night for Rudy against totally inferior team, but who cares? Alec Burks, plus 20. Big deal. Big deal for the Utah Jazz last night when Gordon Hayward and Derek Favors just did not have the mojo to be able to put it together. Big deal for the Jazz to be as bad as they were, down 17 to a Thunder team, and come back and win. Big deal that Quinn Snyder went out that far and got his team to react. I am not a believer generally in the whole technical foul game changed it. I'm not a believer in timeouts change things. Frankly, if you go look at the numbers, it doesn't back it up. But last night was one of those nights where unquestionably it worked. It was a 30-point technical foul. It was fabulous. It worked. And it was a big-time game-changing move and a necessary, nice win. Necessary. Again, we have larger picture items, I think, going on and where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do as a franchise that, if you lose to Oklahoma City, it's not the end of the earth, but that's a nice win. They're suddenly 3-3 in their last 6. They're 4-4 in their last 8. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They got blitzed to open the season by Houston and Dallas. And, since then, they've actually been pretty high level, above water, good basketball team. And it's turning out that Dallas is unbelievable. I don't know if you heard my note last night or saw my tweet on Dallas, but Dallas right now is the number 1 team in the NBA offensively and are so good and so far ahead of everyone else offensively that if they did not score tonight in their game, they would still have the 9th best offense in the NBA. Okay, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous that they don't have to score. Okay, so we got blitzed by Dallas and Houston to open the year. We've played Dallas a second time. And, there's still a long way to go with some of these things. But if you start looking at it, hey, over the last 10 games, our offensive rating is 105.4. Our defensive rating is 105.5. That's about we're 11th offensively and 23rd defensively over the last 10 games. We're 18th defensively over the last 5. Things are really heading in the right direction for the Utah Jazz. It's really impressive. It's really impressive. You know what? As bad as the starting lineup was last night, they were positive again. I've been talking about this a lot. That the fact that 5 starters are playing well together is a really big deal because that's the core of your team against the other team's best teams. And obviously, again, Oklahoma City doesn't have best players. But on a night where we feel like they were off, and really they were off offensively, they only shot 40% together when they've been shooting 54% together. They were positive. The big lineup winner last night in 2 minutes was Trey, Alec, Rudy, Gordon, and Ennis. And it just will equalize some of the numbers. It's nice. It's good to see. Quinn's technical, he's been quiet. He's picked his spot. I think it gives you a little bit of an understanding of how orchestrated everything that Quinn does is in the sense that he never, nothing's done by accident. So the fact that Quinn has not talked to any officials, the fact that Quinn has not allowed his teammates to players to talk to any officials made the impact of that moment bigger. Now he's got to go back to it. You can't just be a guy who's always yelling at officials and have it actually have value. So that's a big moment that he got that reaction. He got that reaction from the team. Smart. They were worn out. He was somewhat responsible, by the way, for the way they were playing last night. They practiced for 3 hours the day before, had an hour and a half shoot around, and then came to the game. I've been telling you this. I will keep telling you this. There are going to be days where we lose basketball games because the practice time for the well-being of the future of the franchise is more important than the individual game. And last night was almost that game. All right. Let's get to the questions. There's a lot of stuff out there. Hopefully I've addressed it. We're 14 minutes in. I feel like there's going to be a lot of questions today. There are, and that'll take a lot of time. I hope I'm not forgetting anything, particularly last night, but I think I hit the key points. Dante's three-pointers, when his feet are set, look pretty good. However, we have not witnessed any mid-range game yet. Has his development gone on? How's his development going on pull-up and mid-range jumpers? He has not hit a single shot yet this year off the bounce outside 10 feet. Not one. It's a great reminder of how far he's still got to go. I started to go down the line with Ron last night, and I don't remember what happened. Maybe I just didn't listen to his answer. He drives every time, and this happens in practice too. Every time he drives, he's looking to dish. That's who he is. He's a creator for his teammates. And he's great at it. He hit Ennis on a beautiful one last night. At some point in this process, maybe 2 years from now, okay, not like tomorrow, 2 years from now, he's got to start going to the rim for himself. But I think it's going to take getting him at baseline strength for a point guard, shooting guard in the NBA, just that size strength of a guard in the NBA. I wasn't trying to make some larger statement about what position he's going to play. And once he has that strength, then he can go to the bottom. Even I was looking at Trey last night, or yesterday afternoon. I talked to Trey. Trey is bigger and stronger than he used to be. His shoulders are getting there. Takes time. I thought Trey was really good last night. By the way, I thought Trey was really good. In fact, I think Trey's been really good since the third quarter against Toronto when he got his butt kicked and he started breaking the paint with some aggressiveness and making plays for his teammates. He's got 42 assists in the last 5 games or something. I think he's been pretty good. Steven Ronsley, not sure if this is fair to ask, but what team broadcasters do you really enjoy listening to? Oh, that's totally fair. Because I listen to everybody, and I actually believe in the craft enough that I actually have a little spreadsheet. I'm just crazy. I mean, I think you guys know that by now. Caffeinated and crazy. Tune in, tip off every day. Caffeinated, and I like that. You want to make that t-shirt? I have a chart where I make sure I listen to every play-by-play announcer radio in the NBA twice a year for at least an extended period of time. It's hard because you have to find days when you're not playing, and so it takes some time. I mean, it takes an hour on an off day usually to go listen to each guy for 30 minutes and kind of bang out 2 a night. And you get the better teams because on Thursdays we don't play, and so I hit them there. But so I have my radio guys. Brian Seaman of the Clippers is terrific. Tim Roy of the Warriors is just a vet, and he's great. Al McCoy's legendary. Sean Grande of the Celtics is just terrific. So I hope I'm not forgetting. Craig Ackerman's a really good friend. I think he calls a nice game in Houston. Brian Seaman, Sean Grande, Tim Roy. And I learn a lot listening to those guys. I learn an awful lot, and hopefully my call gets better every time from listening to them. TV, I think that Ralph Lawler and Michael Smith of the Clippers are as well prepared as any group out there, as is Dave. Oh, my gosh. Minnesota's play-by-play announcer Alan Horton's like one of my best friends, and he's great. And I hired him. at one point in time, so I clearly think he's great. I should never have walked down this line. I've now left out John Ireland, and you know what? Hopefully those guys are good enough friends. If I forgot them, they're not pissed. Spiro Ditas, who is not doing the NBA anymore, I thought was terrific. He called a very different game than me, very methodical, very short. I learned a lot. I've actually integrated some of that into my call. You're kind of in my alley. I love this stuff. I mean, I read it all the time. I read Kurt Smith's old baseball books. I really hope I'm a student of play-by-play as much as just doing it. And you know, I joke around that I don't take it very seriously. And we're just kind of hanging out. I take it pretty damn seriously. I try to be great every night, like really great every night. So I do take it very seriously. TV, I do think Ralph and Michael Smith are good. Bob Fitzgerald, Jim Barnett. I'm glad Jim's back again. The Warriors. I'm kind of hitting the same teams again, aren't I? Who else on TV do I think is really good? I don't think very many are very good, actually, to be honest with you, on TV. I think TV is so I don't do TV, so I shouldn't say this, but I think there's very few producers and directors as good as Travis Henderson and Joe Kruger and then Bowler and Harpering. Ron and I watch the TV broadcasts every night. We've started this now. Ron and I sit on the plane and watch our upcoming opponent every night together. Now I've done this for the last year and a half, 2 years. It's changed one of my main things in my prep is watching. Like I'll watch 1 or 2 Warrior games today while prepping, and I'll watch. Saturday's a tough day for me because I'm tied up most of the day, and we have a game, and we come in at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'll probably try to get a lot of Pelicans prep done today too, and watch. So anyway, I don't think many of the TV guys are very good. It's very discouraging to me how little preparation I think the TV broadcasters put into their broadcast, so that when I listen to a Mike Barrett in Portland, or I listen to Ralph Lawler and Michael Smith in Clippers, or Dave Benz and Jim Peterson in Minnesota, it's really noticeable. And I think Bob Fitzgerald does a lot of work too with the Warriors. So I mean, that's Western Conference. I'm forgetting people. I'm leaving out. So I probably should be. I want to clarify this. I'm kind of walking myself down a rabbit hole here, but it's so interesting to me when I listen to these broadcasts who I get information from and who I don't. I'm looking for information. I'm listening to them. I want to learn about their team. I want to learn about what's going on with Michael Smith and Ralph Lawler are great. If the Clippers are playing our next opponent, I listen to them because they have better information about the Clippers opponent than the Clippers opponent has about themselves. They're great. Here's the one thing. Let me clarify this though for saying this for a second. And this is where I think I might be wrong sometimes. Many of these guys are fabulous broadcasters. Fabulous broadcasters. Bob Rathburn in Atlanta is terrific and actually pretty well informed at broadcasting a game. That's his job. Not to give you information, not to give you geeky stats, not to inform you, to broadcast. Bowler's terrific broadcaster who then with terrific producers and directors and his own knowledge brings in more to the game. So I have to be careful here that I'm evaluating many of these guys simply on their preparation and extra notes they're bringing in and teaching me something because I know a lot. That's not necessarily their job. Their job is to broadcast, and these guys are great broadcasters, and I could be a better broadcaster. Nobody in the league, I will say this to all of them, gives you more information, more insight into their players, more character pieces on the players than we do on our broadcast. Nobody. But I could broadcast better. Okay? I'll get there. All right, I just walked down a rabbit hole I didn't mean to get into. Caffeine's a bad thing. Gosh, it's all broadcasting today. Dace Jackson. So I feel like I'm doing a Reddit. What's it called? AMA? Answer whatever. What are those called? I've always wondered if I should do one of those things. But I feel like I'm doing it. Do I like Bill Simmons? I don't know him at all. He has completely changed the industry. He is me, right? Like, I am him. Big fan, turned into broadcaster, made a huge career. It's incredible. I admire him greatly. I get frustrated with his esteemed status as an expert, and I feel like he's being pulled in so many directions right now with the millions of things he's doing that he might not be as informed as he once was, and he's still an expert. Right? That's a hard thing. I'm not sure that that's his fault. That's maybe the reality of what's taking place in his world. He's running Grantland, doing NBA shows, doing this, and then he gets on a podcast, and I feel like he hasn't really had the time to watch the way he used to, and he still has that expert status. But big picture, the dude changed the industry. The dude has 1 million followers or whatever. He's taken the industry for guys. I don't think I could do what I do without what Bill Simmons has done. He's a trailblazer. It's awesome. He's, he's a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. He's changed the industry. It's incredible. So, do I like him? I have no idea. I've never met him in my life. I would think we'd get along. His book was great. However, so I don't have that answer of whether I like him or not. He's revolutionized the business. He's a Hall of Famer. My admiration to him is through the roof. Let's try this again. Asked yesterday, but you didn't do questions, so I'll try again. Yeah, I had like 5 minutes yesterday. Why are big men usually worse at free throws? Dwight, Shaq, Karl Malone till later, and do I like Dwight? I get asked. I think it's because of their large hands. That's what they all say. They all say their hands are too big. And that's the answer they give. That their hands are too big, and they probably don't work on touch quite as much. Do I like Dwight? I mean, as a player, he's terrific. He's playing great. He's a legitimate MVP candidate right now. Philip Malone wants to know why Chromecast is not in. And I have not tried Chromecast on the road yet. I don't even know why I bought Chromecast for the road. I don't watch anything other than the NBA on the road. I don't do it. I just told you what I do. I try to watch all these other broadcasters, all these other games. When would I ever watch a show? I had Sonic Highway up every single day on a 7-day road trip, and I never played it. I also get out. I hate hotel rooms. I hate the hotel room. If I'm not working, I get out of the hotel room. Seems like at the moment we as fans think Dante could be more aggressive attacking his man going to the basket. What do you think? Why do you think he isn't? Do the coaches want him to attack more? I have not talked to the coaches much more about this. I do think he could attack more. I think he's trying to not turn the ball over. Remember, he had major turnover problems. He's now going into the line and pulling back out, and I think it's a strength issue. I think that's it as much as anything. And I think he got banged around big time early going to the basket. He got hit and like, oh boy, I'm in the NBA now. And I think he gets hit harder as a rookie going the lane. People knowing that he's a little weak, and I think that makes it for a big. I think that's gonna. He's this guy gets stronger. I think that's prohibiting him a little bit. Philip Malone. I think it was Dante that deliberately stepped back, take a 3 instead of a long 2. How happy were you this? Am I right? How much smarts does it show that he has? Congratulations on the award nomination, by the way. We're hoping you win. Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you. I got nominated for I'm not really the type who gets nominated for awards. My personality doesn't really rub most people very well. So I don't usually get nominated for awards. I got nominated as Utah Sports Broadcaster of the Year. I was more honored. Let me just say this. I'm more honored that, well, 2 things on it. One, I'm really honored when I look at it and I see Steve Klauke's name. And then, I think Wesley Ruff and Jeremiah Jensen do amazing stuff. I think some of the stuff Jeremiah does at KSL with the locals in the NFL is one of the best local television pieces I've seen. Probably deserves to win the award solely for that. And obviously Klauke is Klauke, and so I really, to be just in that group, that's not really who I mean, those guys are really, to my point, I need to be a better broadcaster, right? These guys are really, but can I have a moment, and please understand this is being said totally humbly. I hope gosh, I'm so nervous. This is I really hope this comes across right. So, I'm gonna share this with you. Gosh, I'm so nervous to do this. Oh God, this could come out so badly. All right, let me see if this works. So this was really cool, by the way, and thank you. Somebody tweeted it at me, and I have somebody who is occasionally checking my mentions columns for me of whether I need to have something I need to respond to. So this is the list of people that were nominated for Sportscaster of the Year in the various states. So and maybe you know, like Eli Gold is unbelievable with Auburn, with Alabama, and Rob Bramlett is Auburn. He's the guy who had that great call last year. Okay, so that's really, really cool. Dave Pasch is, I mean, I know Dave really well. He's incredible. So to me, and then look at this. Look at this. Look at that right there. I know you're on audio and you're like, what am I looking at? Dick Enberg, Ken Korich, and Vin Scully. I got it. It's California. I'm in Utah. It's not the same thing. But like, just even to have my hyperventilating, have my name on a list of that includes that. Like, that's so cool. I don't know all these other people. Tom Boswell is like the greatest writer, one of the greatest writers of all time. And this is what blew me away yesterday. I don't think I have any chance to win the Utah Sportscaster, and I'm just flattered that, like, to be on this list with these people. Steve Holman. I mean, this is like a Hall of Fame radio broadcaster right there. This is so cool. All right, so that, like, Mark Boyle, gosh, he's great. You know, Indiana, I didn't include him on the Pacers. So anyway, that's kind of what blew my mind. Last night I came home and took a second. I didn't have much time yesterday, and looked at this list, and just Bob. Come on, Bob Ryan. All right. I'm not saying, and Utah's different than Massachusetts and California. I got it. Don't misunderstand. Please don't go take this the wrong way. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stop doing it. Don't do it. You understand, I think, what I'm trying to say. I don't think I sniff these guys in any way, shape, or form. But at one point in my lifetime, as a 44-year-old male who dreamed of doing this and gets to do it, and actually for one day, look, Ian Eagle and Jim Spinarkle, Yes Network, are by far the best. Mike Breen. Oh my gosh! Look at that! Look at that! That's like my idol right there. I get to go to Park Cafe with Mike Breen. It's like the best day of my life. All right, like that to me. I'm just a little boy living a dream, man, and it's great. And I just work hard, and hopefully you guys appreciate it. And I think you do. And that's why I do it. So anyway, all right. I just think I came off terribly. I think I just came off terribly there. All right, let's get off. Let's take one more question so I don't make a fool. Riley Lewis. Oh, crap, this show. Why do I do these things? Why do I open up my Caffeinated for 30 minutes a day? This reminds me, I did an interview with, I'm on one today. I was totally sleepy before this started, too. I did an interview with Purple and Blue, I think it was. I think it was with Tyson Newman, and I hope they've erased it. And they asked me to do it, and I always try to say yes to whatever this is. I actually have to start saying no a little bit. But I've tried to say yes to everything. And a few game winners has made me have to do more than I used to. So they asked me to do it. I had thumb surgery that day, and they wanted me to come on that night. And I was like, yeah, sure, come on, who cares? I'm just going to be sitting around. And I was totally drugged up. Totally. And I don't know what I said, but I was really loopy. And probably am glad I still have a career after that one. All right, Riley Lewis, you frequently have mentioned that offense suffers when Gobert is playing or when Hayward sits. What do the numbers look like when on the floor together? That is a great question. Let's go find out together. Here, we'll screencast this. Let's go find out together. That is a great question. All right, two-man lineups. It just takes a while. This is a big, huge file. You guys are getting it, aren't you? Yeah. I hope you guys have laughed a little today and enjoyed this show and mock me or whatever you want, because I feel like I've made a complete ass of myself today. And if I'm going to make an ass of myself, I hope that you are at least enjoying it. Okay, let me just clarify before we go too far in this that I think playing pairs as a general piece of information is a limited, somewhat inadequate thing. But let's take a look at it nonetheless. So here are the playing pairs. Alec and Trey have played the most together, and we are looking for Gordon Hayward and Rudy Gobert. Here it is. And they can't score together. 98.1. So same problem largely here. And I'm pretty darn sure that 98.1 with Gordon Hayward is by far the lowest. Now, pretty good defensively. 98.5 is one of the better defensive numbers out here. Best defensive playing pairs are Dante Exum and Joe Ingles. Interesting. Rudy Gobert and Joe Ingles, often against second teams. Dante Exum and Gordon Hayward. And Dante and Rudy Gobert and Gordon Hayward are the best defensive groups here. Dante's become decent defensively. Ron was talking about last night, his footwork is just exquisite. The worst offensive groups are Alec Burks, Dante Exum, Rudy Gobert, Alec Burks, Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors, Joe Ingles, Rudy Gobert, Trey Burke. I'm sure they all intertwine in some Venn diagram circles. This is interesting. Wow, wonder why Alec Burks and Rudy Gobert are so terrible together. Okay? I'm not now. So I say this is how I do it too. I just kind of look around and see these things. And you suddenly realize that much of this is all intertwined. But though not that intertwined, because Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert don't have played 1 minute together the entire season. So you look at it a little bit and you're like, wow, these things are somewhat intertwined. And then you ask yourself, would I ever take this to the coaching staff? And it's interesting, I have a pretty good relationship with the coaching staff, so I have to think to myself every now and then when I look at these numbers, like, would I actually ever share this with Quinn or Brad or Alex or Antonio or Mike or Johnny? And the answer on that one would be no. Not a chance. I would have shared with them how bad our second quarters are. And I thought we saw Quinn make an adjustment on that the other day. I think that number kind of reached a point where it's like, oh, this isn't good. We're 30th in the NBA after 12 games, second quarter. Something's seriously wrong with our second quarter play. And I thought he played around with it and adjusted it a little bit the other night, trying to make it better. And then he, wake up! Wake up! All right, that wraps us up. Do I really post this? Do I leave this for the 37 of you that actually heard it live? Or do I dare post this? I feel like today's going to come back to haunt me. See ya!